Hello, good evening, and welcome to First Center of Religious Science. We are 204 West 84th Street, and this is our Creative Living series. And we are so happy to be here and to share this time with every one of us. And I'll open this with an affirmative prayer. I am a joyous expression of an infinite power and presence. It is the one life divine. It is a wise, loving, and caring presence that supports me moment by moment. It is universal spirit that created me out of itself and inspires me into greater experience of life. This spirit is a loving and energizing force in the universe that is always operating through me. Today, I am empowered by spirit within to live my life in a healthy and prosperous way. I move in a divine flow into greater good than I have ever known before. I exist right now in the fullness of perfect health and wholeness, as I am the perfect expression of the one life in action. Every day provides me with a fresh opportunity for spirit to guide me forward into a great new adventure of life. In this moment of joyful anticipation, I await my demonstration of greater good. And so it is. And so it is, definitely, and so it is. I welcome everybody once again to Creative Living Series. This is First Center of Religious Science, and we are welcoming spiritual community, and we are here to transform lives for empowered living. And we hold a number of meetings, gatherings within the week. Today is one of them. It's our Creative Living Series. It's at 7 p.m. every Wednesday, East Central Time, and tomorrow is our popular Louise self-healing class. And in this class on Thursdays, we teach you how to do the work yourself because you have the power to do the work. And every Sunday at 10:45 a.m., it's our Sunday gathering. And we also teach principles at these meetings, all these meetings. And we know as we listen to these lessons and practice them, we become that thing that we have in mind of ourselves that we want to create. We become that total picture that we are looking forward to. So today we'll be talking about facing our fears. I'm going to start by talking briefly about the meaning of fears. These are things that we already know, but I will just go briefly about, dwell briefly on the general meaning of fear. I mean, these are things that we encounter every day. It's an important topic. It affects us in one way or the other. So we want to learn how to, using the principles, apply it to fear and use it for our own good. It says fear is an unpleasant emotion caused by the belief that someone or something is dangerous, likely to cause pain or threat. A belief, not reality. Another says fear is an emotion that is triggered by a perceived threat or danger. Again, perceived, not real. It is a natural response that helps individuals, helps every one of us to survive in a potentially dangerous situations by activating the body's fight or flight response. We talk about the adrenaline pumps epinephrine into the bloodstream, and this provides us with a burst of energy that we can respond to perceived dangers. We know we encounter something frightful, and all of a sudden you have a surge of emotions, and you either act or you withdraw, or you run away. And there are some characteristics that happen when we suddenly come into contact with frightful situations. This causes our heart rate to increase, which is medically they call tachycardia. Then sweating, we have our muscles tense, and when these things happen, sometimes we are frozen, sometimes we are spontaneous, and we begin to act, or there will be anxiety, there will be panic, and it's not to the degree this situation holds us down that we know whether it's good or bad. And it says also that fear can be adaptive. That means it can be good because it pushes you to work, to do things. In situations where, say, you're taking an exam, there is an anxiety, there is fear, it pushes you, those hormones are secreted, and it pushes you to work. You find that you're reading longer hours, you're preparing. And sometimes it could be maladaptive. I mean, such situation where it cripples you, you're anxious, you're not able to do anything. So fear in one way can be good, and in another way it can be bad. When it's excessive, then it's bad, where you're not able to function. Then we also have another definition, a spiritual angle that talks about fear being false evidence appearing real. I mean, if we mark these particular words, false evidence, they're not real, but they appear real. And we'll later in this lesson talk about how we react to it for our own good. And from our Science of Mind from Ernest Holmes, he says that fear is a mental attitude, and so is courage. What we think about and what we expect determine our mental attitudes. Fear is always concerned about what might happen, whereas faith talks about what can happen. And sometimes some of the things we do to overcome our fear, we must cultivate faith in our own abilities and in the power of the universe to support us. I mean, faith, and how does faith come? By hearing the things that we teach or talk about every time. It gives you a level of standing and knowing that in situations that are not good or fearful situations, how you will act. Okay, and it also says that fear is the belief in two powers, one good, one bad. But in truth, there's only one power. We're always talking about one power, and that is the power of the universe, and that is the power that you have. That is the power that created you. You have those powers within you. We talk about one power. It's about the good power, about the good and the God, which is infinite, it's omnipotent and omnipresent. I mean, everything, once we understand, this is very fundamental about oneness, about the one power, the infinite source, then I think the whole job is done. Because if we understand that we are one with the Creator, we are one with this creative intelligence, then it gives, it positions us in a better state to handle any situation. And to overcome fear, we must expand our consciousness and realize our true potentials and spiritual beings. I mean, we always hear it here on Sunday. We are spiritual beings with physical bodies. We are spiritual beings. We are one with God. And fear is a negative mental attitude that can only be overcome by positive thinking and affirmative action. And what is this affirmative action? We talk about affirmative prayer. Confessing, you're confessing positivity, confessing what you want, creating your words. And we always talk about, of course, our affirmative prayer, which is getting rid of the negations of doubt, of fear, and causing it to perceive the ever-presence of God, to see the good and the God. When we talk about our affirmative treatment, it's replacing every negative thought, every doubt, every fear with what is true, with what is pure, with what is kind, with love, with every good thing. And we must focus on what we want to achieve and not fear, and not the negative, and not the things that hold us down. Then again, Louise here, stressing fear, talked about it being false evidence appearing real, and she believed that fear is a product of our thoughts and beliefs, and that it's often rooted in past experiences or conditioning. I mean, we talk here about our thoughts being creative. Our thoughts are things. If you fill your thoughts with negativity, you create negativity. If you fill it with good things, with things that are pure, love, joy, abundance, then you create those things too. So another way of getting rid of fear is filling your thoughts with the things that you want. And how can you fill your thoughts with the things you want? With things you hear, with things you watch, with things you let into your being. So if we are in the habit of letting positive things, thoughts into ourselves, then our thoughts, our creations will be positive. And that is what Louise Hay is stressing out here, that thoughts are things and they can be changed. If you have the negative thoughts, it's just a thought and your thoughts can be changed. They can actually be changed. By changing our thoughts and beliefs, we can shift our perspective and transform our experience of fear. And another aspect of it is that fear is a lack of trust in ourselves. And because of this, we don't trust life. We don't trust that we are being taken care of on a higher level. Again, it talks about our understanding and knowing of who we are. If we know we are one with this creative intelligence, we are one with God, with good, if we are trusting, then we know that we can control things on the physical level. Even when they seem not to be going the way you want it, there is a knowing, there's an understanding that everything is working out for your own good. There was never a promise that it will all be rosy, that you will not have challenges or you will not have fearful situations. The only thing is that you have the power to turn it around for your own good. I'm going to talk about briefly on some perspectives about fear. And some of the thoughts that run up in our head that make us feel anxious daily or sometimes is you hear things that you're not good, no one cares about me or you can't do anything right, you are going to mess everything up, and don't even try. When these things go up in our mind, it freezes off and we don't step out in faith and trust the universe to perfect everything that it has started. So when these things happen to us, what do we do? And what I would suggest is we learn to trust. And what are we trusting? Trusting the power within that we are connected with, the universal intelligence. If we can remember that this power, this creative intelligence, this universe gave us, supplies our breath. And it's the same power that created the universe. That is the same power that supplies our breath. We breathe in every day. We have the air. We breathe in. And if it's the same power that created you, created me, and gives us the breath of life, why can't we trust this creative power in situations that are not pleasant to us? And know that you are one with all life. The more you know how to love yourself and trust life, the more that life will love you, support you, and guide you. And there's an affirmation I have here I would like everybody to affirm. I am not my fears. It is safe for me to live without guarding and defending myself all time. When I feel afraid, I open my heart and let love dissolve the fear. You know, there's also a statement that love casts away all fears. Let this love, the creative love, the love that you have, the love that we have within us, can chase away every fears. And some other perspectives about fear is that fear is an illusion. And this is as a result of our thoughts and beliefs, that our thoughts create our reality. And when we focus on fearful thoughts, we attract more fears in our lives, in our situations. And we can overcome fear when we change our thoughts. And you ask, how can I do this? You can do it by daily practice. You can do it by knowing who you are. You have this power. I mean, we talk about power, power that is within us, and power that is not being used, and it's just there, dormant. But we can ignite it and use it for our own good, because we have it resident. We just have to learn how to use it. And how do we learn how to use it? By constantly hearing this word and hearing the demonstrations from every other person. When we share, you learn how people apply the teaching and they get results. We can use it. It's only a thought. And if we change our thoughts and make it positive, we can create the reality that we are looking for. And fear can be a signal. It can be an indicator that something is not really all right. Something is not adding up. It might be a pointer for you to go back to the first level of treatment, which is recognition, recognizing who you are, recognizing that there's one God, one universal power, and this power is within you. I mean, so when you're fearful about a situation, it might be a signal for disconnection, and you want to connect. You want to clear out what is the signals, that negative signals that you are feeling. And it says fear can be a warning sign that we need to take action or make changes in order to align with our true selves and our highest potential. Again, another perspective is to see fear as a teacher. It can help us grow and evolve. When we face our fears and move through them, we can develop courage, resilience, and deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. If we have a situation and we're scared of it, we don't want to step out and confront it, what happens? We recline, we remain where we are. But when we confront the situation headlong, knowing that we have victory because we are one with victory, we are one with the Creator, and you confront your fears, what will happen? You will come out victorious, you will learn things from there, and you move on to the next level. So fear can be a good teacher. Fear is something that we should, we want to, when we have them, we want to confront it and learn from the experiences. Even when it doesn't turn out the way you wanted, you'll learn something, and you know another way to do it, another way not to try do it. Some popular quotes here about fear, and this one is from Nelson Mandela. It says, "The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. Nothing in life is to be feared." I mean, fear is expected, it's part of our day-to-day living. But we are knowing that fear is to be conquered, and we can conquer it when we understand who we are and the victory that's already assured if we apply the principles. Another one says, "He who is not every day conquering some fear has not learned the secret of life." This is Ralph Waldo Emerson. If you've not understood how to conquer your fears, then you've not learned the secret of life. There will always be situations in life, but they are stepping stones to greater heights. And Louise May says, I'm not afraid of storms, for I am learning how to sail my ship. So fear as a whole has a place in our lives. It's a requirement, just like food, water, and the air we breathe. Water is something we need, sometimes in small doses, other times enjoyed or in vast amounts. Same with fear. In the same respect, fear can help protect us, keep us safe, and guide us away from danger. But can we quickly overtake? I mean, when it's excessive and it overwhelms us, then it becomes an issue. Fear sometimes in situations you need fear to move. Because of those hormones are triggered, the epinephrine, you act, you're spontaneous, you move. I mean, you can't be, like exam, you're taking an exam, you need a level of fear and anxiety. But when it becomes too much, then that's where the problem is. Okay, then we're going to talk about how fear stifles our creativity. Because we are creative beings, we are one with this creative power. We are meant to be creative, each and every one of us. And how does fear do this? When we allow fear to overwhelm us, it comes in with self-doubt, causing you to question your abilities and second-guess everything. Am I sure I can do this? Even when you've done that before, fear can put so much doubt in you. Am I sure I can do this? Someone did it and didn't scale through. Why would I do it and succeed? This can prevent us from being creative and, prevent us from taking risk. There's also the area of perfectionism, fear of failure, and not being good enough. You're wanting everything perfect. And if it's not perfect, it's not good enough. We have to tell ourselves not to be overly critical of our work and not that will prevent us from taking risk. In this teaching, we always want to focus on progress and not perfection. Your day-to-day activities, the progress. Oh, I moved this level, I moved an inch today, I did this today. Those are the milestones that we all want to record. Oh, I moved an inch, I moved forward today. Those are great demonstrations. Oh, I couldn't do this before, but I could do this. Just like someone that is learning to walk. Oh, I took one step today. I did this today, just one step after the other. That is what the teaching, the principle is about. Oh, I listened to this today. I was able to move an inch today. So we should not let being perfect deter us from taking the risk. Then it comes with procrastination. Oh, you plan to do something. Oh, I'm not ready today. I'll do it tomorrow. When tomorrow comes, oh, this happened. Oh, it's cloudy today. I don't want to step out. Or, things that you just postpone things that we want to do and deter it. And eventually, before you know it, it might lead to failure, fear of failure or rejection, then lack of confidence. Fear can erode our confidence, making us hesitant to share our creative work with others. I don't know how it will be perceived. Oh, someone did this, he's so much better than me. We're all individualization of this great, of God, and we are unique in our ways. The way you do something will be different from the way I do mine. So we're all unique. We shouldn't let this deter us. Sometimes it comes with narrow thinking. We just get comfortable with where we are and we don't want to step out. Oh, I'm just okay. Meanwhile, everything about you wants a change, and you're waiting for the weather to be conducive before you go, and so you're waiting for everything to be all right. But unfortunately, everything will never be all right. Like in economics, they say all things being equal. Everything can never be okay. We all need a level of faith to step out. And sometimes when we start this, we have this fear, we have creative blocks. Or You might just be thinking, and all of a sudden you don't have anything flowing. There's nothing to be fearful about. It happens. And what do you do in such situations? We always talk about the pause that refreshes. Take a pause, take a vacation, relax, do fun things, and you'll be amazed what will play out when those things, when we give ourselves time to be creative. And sometimes we get too afraid to be wrong. We are afraid to make a mistake. We are afraid of being perfect. These are things that just slow us down. And I'm going to talk about how to overcome our fears and be creative. And the first one I have here is to embrace failure. This might sound a little out of whack, but yes, when we are trying to be creative, failures are part of success. Because when you fail, you've had experience and you've known how to do it the next time and how not to do it. And we're told again and again that the best way to learn is by doing. The best way to learn, say our teaching, is by practicing it. They say again, faith without works is nothing, it's death. It's faith with works. You know it, and you have to put it into practice. Yeah, through our lives, we are criticized when we get things wrong. The consequences of failure is oftentimes huge. We fail our exams, and you hear things, oh, you wouldn't get that job. We do things, we don't get it right, you miss out on something. And yet, we hear stories about great entrepreneurs and innovators that they failed often so many times before they achieved success. They cultivate the resilience to deal with failure because the only way to do something new is to learn to cope with failure. It's very important. We have to learn to cope with perceived failure, or we just have to call it what it is. And what can we do when situations like this arise? One Nobel Prize winner, Samuel Beckett, says, fail again, fail better. These are the words of Samuel when he was asked what was the secret of being creative. He says, fail again, and fail better. What does that sound like? Failure is part of success. When you fail the first time, and you fail the second time, you fail again. And the third time, if it happens, you're failing better because you're learning, you're acquiring a lot of experience doing that. And what if we start calling these things we call failure experiments? You can just call it a different name. You're trying things out. In the real term, it's not failure because you're learning things by the perceived failure. They are experiments. Like I said, you're learning ways to do things better and ways not to do it. I will call it experiments rather than failures. Okay, you did something, and you call it, oh, I experimented. You didn't get to this way, it wouldn't be the right way. And you stopped in that direction, and instead of heading east, you head north. And you're testing something out and learning from it. By redefining success as the process of exploring and learning rather than the result, you can cultivate your curiosity. It's a common knowledge that most people succeed brilliantly have failed devastatingly, yet they keep going. They keep insisting on their vision, on their right to explore, or question, and yes, make mistakes. Mistakes, the sacrosanct, they're part of life. Fears, they're always there. And pursuing their ideas and following their gut feeling. This gut feeling, we all get inspirations. We know when we get divine inspiration or messages or directions. You just know it. It's just there. I mean, because we are connected to this creative intelligence, to God, to the Creator, we get these things and we know it. And sometimes we don't use them or just let it go. And after a while, you'll be like, oh, I had this gut feeling about this. I didn't put it to practice. What if we begin to put these things down when we have these feelings? You know? Pursuing your gut feelings are more important to them than worrying if they are right or wrong. So if you have those feelings and they're strong within you, you're supposed to do something. Why don't you do it? Why worry about the failure? If you feel so, I mean, you're better off trying and not trying, because the regrets will keep you down. And sometimes when we are trying to do these things, we limit ourselves with time. Oh, I want to do a project and I want it to start this time and end this time. You constrain yourself because it limits you from being expansive. We all, like I say, creative intelligence. We all have this divine intelligence. And when you give yourself time and space and create the enabling environment, you're more expansive and you're not limited by time, because time also chokes creativity. So give yourself time to be creative and let it flow. Creativity thrives again on uncertainties. I mean, if you're wanting to be creative and you know the end, I mean, there's nothing so wonderful about it, because you know what you're already going to create. If we always knew the outcome of our creative endeavors, we'll probably be too bored to complete it. Uncertainty, curiosity, stumbling one foot after the other, we can create our unique yellow brick road of imagination. Like I said, allow yourself to be expansive. Give yourself time. Even when things are not working, you may just need to just sleep over some thoughts or go through things or discuss things, and you find yourself getting inspirations to go to proceed. Margaret Atwood said, if I waited for perfection, I would never write a word. If you're waiting for all things to be certain, you're certain of everything to be perfect before you step out, you will never get into what you plan to do. And while you're creating, it's also good to experience its moments of the creative journey. Experience everything as it happens. Jot everything down, everything that you receive. Another aspect that will help us to overcome is an understanding of who we are. In knowing that we are all creative. I mean, I can't say this enough. I talked about our connection with God, our connection with socks, our connection with the creative intelligence. And if we know and understand this connection and this source that we have, that we are one with God, we are one with the universe, we have this DNA within us, then it gives us some boost to know that we can get to the end of anything we are working towards, that we are also creative. And when fear comes in, you restate who you are. And that helps us to overcome fear. Then it may be also wonderful to remind ourselves of past victories and learn from experiences. I mean, I've done something similar. I handled a project and it was successful. Even if it wasn't successful, you learned something from the good one that was successful and from the bad one, and you learned how to do whatever you're doing now better. Some things that also hinder us is fear of being judged. While it can be difficult to deal with judgments of others, it's also important to remember that their opinions do not define you. I I mean, there's a book Dr. Greg always talks about, what you say about me does not bother me or something. I mean, it's only who I am in this creative intelligence that is important. That's all I want to know about. We are all unique individuals with our own strengths and weaknesses. And it's okay to not always please everyone. You don't have to please everyone. We are all individualization of the great one. And this means you are unique. You are different, I am different, but we are one. Instead of dwelling on negative judgment, try to focus on positive feedback you receive and use it to improve and grow. Remember to always practice self-compassion and remind yourself that you are doing the best you can. It's very important. In the end, the most important thing is to stay true to yourself and your values. Keep pushing forward and don't let the judgment of others hold you back from achieving your goals and living your best life. In today's society, it's common to avoid judgment by not taking risks. Oh, I'm scared or fearful of what people will say, and you hold yourself down and you don't step out because you're mindful of what people will say. And surprisingly, you step out and do what you want to do and be creative, they will talk. If you don't step out, they will still talk. So wouldn't it just be better to step out and be creative and do what you've been created to do? However, this approach can lead to a life of mediocrity and unfulfilled potential. If you're restraining yourself because of what people will say or judgment, at the end of it all, you live a mediocre life. You lead a substandard life. But if you step out and do that, you'll be amazed what will come out of it. And by avoiding judgment, we also avoid growth and progress. And how can we work against it? During this process, your only job is to keep moving. People will always say what they say. They say the good, they say the bad. You take the ones that you need and move on. Our only duty function in situations like this is never to be deterred by that. Keep moving. Make sure you wake up every day and move towards your goal. If you have to put it up in your mirror and put your goals and your visions, what you're working towards, so you remind yourself always, constantly, this is what I'm working towards, and you move towards it. Wake up every day and move towards it. Wake up every day and move towards it. It's just like going to the gym. It doesn't just happen overnight. You just keep at it. Like I said, our only duty here is to keep moving. Remember that keeping things moving is a crucial part of any process. If you stop, it stops. Your role is to ensure that you take one step after the other. Don't stop, don't quit, keep moving. Nobody has promised you that it will be rosy, but trusting yourself and knowing who you are will bring you to the expected end. Don't be afraid of blocks when it comes. Take the pause that refreshes. It's part of the process. And when you're evaluating your efforts, be careful about the language you use. Dr. Greg always stresses this about words that we use. Treat yourself kindly, avoiding unhelpful criticism like this is crap, this is heading nowhere. Instead, you can be specific about what needs improvement. And we also talk, especially on Thursday meetings, about avoiding the should. It connotes a level of rigidity. You're being rigid with yourself. And you may want to, and this, when you're rigid with yourself, it creates some kind of impediments. It blocks the creative flow. I have other ones, fear of rejection. I won't go into that. These are things that we know. Sometimes we fear that we are not worthy, and this holds us down from being creative. And of course, I talked about this too, fear of the first step. I mean, this is always starting something new can be daunting, but it is also the most rewarding part of the journey. I don't know how to step out. I don't know how to open my mouth and say this. I don't know how to go and do this. The anticipation and fear you feel before starting is completely normal. It's normal. It's because you're flesh and blood, but you're a spirit being, you have flesh and your blood flowing in you. It's important to remember that it's just a feeling. And once you begin, you will quickly realize that the real issues are not as scary as you thought. And when these things happen, what can we do? Writing anything that comes to mind, stepping out, trusting, and knowing that all is well. Don't let the fear of stepping out deter you. There are things they say, step out in faith, step out trusting, and knowing that all is well. That's a very powerful word. All is well. I can do all things. You have it within you. You got this. I mean, these are things that we can tell ourselves. And believe in your ability to come up with something truly amazing. I mean, it's in you. I mean, I'm wanting to, how else to say it? It's like saying I'm connected to a line of royalty. I'm royalty. I have power. I'm complete. I'm whole. I'm lacking nothing. I have everything I need for life and godliness. Why? Because I'm connected to one, to the great one. You are lacking nothing. Everything, you are complete. I'm wanting to read something. Let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. That was something Franklin D. Roosevelt wrote. But before ending this lesson, I'd like us to go through some affirmations about fear, Releasing Fear by Louise. And these are things that we can have and be looking at always, because like I've also said throughout this lesson, Louise said fears are thoughts, and we know that thoughts are things, and they can be changed. And when you fill our thoughts with positive things, then we create positivity. Then when we all fill ourselves with scary things, fearful things, we watch the television, we hear scary news, we go back to dream, and we dream about those things because these are things we filled our being with. So these are some affirmations that could be of help to all of us. I am willing to release my fears. I live and move in a safe and secure world. I free myself from all destructive fears and doubts. I accept myself and create peace in mind and heart. I rise above thoughts that attempt to make me angry or afraid. I release the past with ease and trust the process of life. I am willing to release the need for this protection. I am now willing to see only my magnificence. I have the power to make changes. I am always divinely protected. I have the power to make changes. That's a very strong one. And so it is.